Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Dive Sessions with Gold Coast Schools. I'm Chris Clausing, Program Director at Gold Coast School of Construction, and we have our plan reading guru, Dan
Hello.
Leo.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Boom. Good.
Good to see you again. So we're taking a deep dive today into what?
Into site plans.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, let's dive right in, as they say. Hold on. Let me get you screened out here. Okay. So first of all, kind of tell us what is a site plan. What could we expect to see on a site plan, and what this site plan is in specifically?
Sure. So the site plan is usually one of the first, if not the first, drawings that you're going to see in a drawing set. Okay, just first things first. And by the way, this is from is this the Module 10?
Yeah, this is the Module 10. So you'll see this in your Module 10 study manual for the business, for the trade, general contractors study manual.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Just so that you can follow along if you want. You can refer to it again later. All right. So, as I said, it's usually the first, or one of the first drawings that you're going to see on a plan set. And this plan set is, you'll know if you've watched our videos before or if you've had a look at this. It's sort of a simplified set, but it's typical of what you might see during the exam.
Yeah, sometimes these can get really complicated in real life. This one's, more for the state kind of exam, but still gives you all the pieces that you're going to need for the test.
Exactly. So the site plan is just what it sounds like. It's a plan, essentially a floor plan of the entire job site. And usually what that means is it's the whole property. Okay, so the whole property that your owner or the project owner owns, okay? Now, that said, it doesn't usually show what's inside of the building, okay? And this is an example of it here on this set. You can see here what we have is just the outline of the building, right? This is where you have this sort of like hatch here, okay? So here's the outline of our building right here.
Oh, is that what that indicates? Is that what that's
well,
just to kind of show you the
board? I mean, sometimes like in real life, it might be sort of like just a solid gray.
Gotcha.
You know, It might not be. Sometimes also it'll show the roof in the site plan. But the basic idea is that you're not really seeing anything inside of the building. So what the site plan shows us is everything basically from the perimeter of the building, the outside wall of the building, to the property line, okay? So where's the property line? All right. Property lines are always shown with one or two different line types, okay?
All right.
And we're gonna zoom in a little bit here, okay? First of all, we're looking at our notes. PL stands for property line, okay? And the other thing you might see sometimes is sort of a symbol like this, where it's like a P and an L on top of each other.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so that's property line
property
also.
line.
Okay. But in this plan, and you see this occasionally, usually in real life it's a little bit different, but we have this line, it goes long, short, long, right? That's this line here, okay? So that's our property line. And it's usually a little bit like bolder, a little bit heavier, as we call it, right? So it pops out a little bit more.
From like the other lines on the
exactly. Gotcha. So like for instance, like this, this over here is a dimension string line, right?
Right.
You can see it's a thinner line than the property line. Okay. The other way you might see it, just a heads up, is long and too short, like that. Okay. A lot of times this one here, where it's long, short, is a center line symbol. Don't get too hung up on it, because when you're looking at the site plan, I mean, you pretty much know, like, hey, this is the property line just because of where it is, and what we're looking at, right?
So that's almost at architect's discretion, just how they like to do it. Doesn't really.
Yeah, it's what I want.
There we go.
It's what I want to do.
Oh my gosh.
It's my prerogative.
Yes.
Right on.
Okay, so we have the PL. Let me ask you a quick question, because I've seen this on other. Okay, so on the corners, let's say where the PL is on that corner.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see elevations at the corners of the property lines. This one doesn't have that,
Right.
but you could also see something like that. And we'll probably cover that in another video and the elevations piece of it. But just FYI, sometimes a good elevation information.
Yeah. Often you'll have that on a site plan that just tells you like at least some sort of point of reference for when they're going to start building the building, like how high that point is on the site,
right?
So that then they know how high to put the first floor, okay, or the foundations, right?
The other thing, I just real quick, because you were talking about the building, so it does identify what the building is, so it gives you that information, the Chamber of Commerce and the dimensions of that building, and then the outline of the building structure.
Yeah,
itself.
absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely,
perfect.
One more thing before we get off property line is what we're looking at right here. Okay, so this is when you see these numbers and letters on that property line, right? That is, do you know what that tells us?
No.
Oh, come on.
No. Yes, I know exactly what that means. Why don't you tell me just to make sure I'm correct?
Okay. All right. It means
as you drink your coffee.
I know.
Good luck with that.
The first one, on the top here, right? That's the length.
Well, that I know what that means.
Yeah, that's the length of that segment of the property line.
Okay, not just the hashes, right? It's the whole distance. It's not a dimension line we're talking about here. Okay.
No.
Right.
See, that's the thing. On a property line, they don't usually put like a dimension string or a dimension for each side. So in this case, that 535 feet and 3 inches, that's going all the way from this corner here, right, to this corner here, over here on the other side.
There we go.
Okay. All right, and you can see the same thing over here on the right hand side. It's what is that say? 176.0. Okay. Okay, but let's go back to the top, right? We got it on all the sides. Don't get that confused, because sometimes I've had students, they're maybe looking for like one dimension for like the building or something, and then they accidentally look at the property line dimension. It's the length of the property line, because it's like right on top of that property line. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. So let's talk about these other mysterious.
Yes. Okay. Tell me.
Numbers.
This is where the gold is buried. That's what I understood. I might be wrong about
that. So this is the bearing of the line. Okay, so we're not going to get too far into this, because it's a little bit into the weeds, and I don't think this is going to be on an exam, correct?
Right. Probably not. No. Yeah. But I am very curious.
Okay, so this is the bearing of that line. So basically, what it tells you is how far off from north or east or west that line is. So it kind of tells you like the angle of it relative to a map.
Okay.
Gotcha. So basically, this is, and the other thing to know here is that this is degrees, minutes, and seconds. That's how they break that down. So in this case, minute and second has nothing to do with time. It's almost like an inch or like a decimal. Okay, it's just breaking it down into further little finer bits from the degree.
And this would be of use, obviously, the surveyors who's putting this on there, and it's sort of really for them to determine the property lines, but also to notate on the site plan how it's oriented in relation to maybe true north or whatever.
Exactly. This is stuff that your surveyor is going to give you, and it's going to be on your survey. And I suppose like when you're building the building, your surveyor is going to be out there, and they might use this to stake out the property, but it might already even be staked out on the property when you're building the building. So. Okay.
That is good information. All right.
Okay, so let's zoom back out a little bit. So what else do we have on the site plan? We have...
Well, what's always of interest to me for commercial buildings is going to be, okay, where are my parking lots? Where is my green space? Do I have any paved areas?
Yeah.
What other architectural features do we have? And then there's a lot of dimensions on this as well that, for specific parts of the site plan. So maybe we'll start with the parking lot and the right side there, the parking lot with that oval or that kind of quarter circle shape.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is a good good spot to like look at dimensions on this thing, right? But why don't we talk maybe a little bit about what we're looking at there?
Yeah.
So and also like working our way from the outside in, you're going to notice also that there's a street. This shows the center line of the street outside too, just to help you like orient yourself, because the site plan also, I mean, it is for the work inside of the property, but it's going to give you a little bit of information too about what's outside and where that street is, right? Because the city needs to know, and you're going to need to hook up to city services, that kind of thing, right?
Oh, okay. So that's CL center line, and that's the center line of the actual road. Again, this is something the surveyor is going to determine.
Yeah.
As part of what they give you, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Now, you may also be responsible for like the curb, right?
Right.
Out here, you're going to need to repair and replace whatever driveway, like curb cuts you're putting in for your parking lot.
I learned that the hard way. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Make sure, for just real world experience, make sure that you are aware that you're going to have to replace, especially for residential and commercial. Commercial is probably already baked in, but for residential, you'll have to replace any sidewalk in front of a house that you're significantly remodeling or building, especially if there's any damage to it or existing damage to it.
Right.
The city will make you, zoning will make you replace that.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on the city, but yeah, even if you didn't cause that damage,
right,
you're going to be on the hook, right? Or the owner's on the hook, which means,
you're on the
hook.
There you go.
Okay, so we're on the street, right? We're driving down the street here, okay? And just to kind of like orient ourselves here in the building, right? There's one parking lot here and another smaller parking lot over here on the left side, okay? So, and we know that, and you can just kind of tell like all these diagonal, like zigzaggy lines that are here in this area, right? Those are all parking spaces, okay? They're not labeled, but you gotta just look at that and recognize, hey, that's parking.
Right.
Yeah, and that's especially important too for like, because they might ask you about, on the exams, they might ask you about like parking striping or that kind of thing,
right,
for quantity takeoffs. Yeah?
Yeah, and then I see here as well, so for test purposes, so it does give you the width of the parking spaces. So in that case, the 10 feet typical, right? Mm-hmm. It also gives you the angle at which these spaces are to be painted.
Yeah.
Right, at 30 degrees.
Yeah. And that's all over here. Let me circle it there for us.
What this plan doesn't really go into, but is really on the test, is going to be related to ADA, handicap accessibility.
Oh, okay, all right.
So in the ADA, you'll see in the in section chapter 2, and I can't remember off the top of my head the other chapter, but there is a provision for ADA parking spaces have to be 12 feet in width.
Got it.
So on the exam, so you have parking space, ADA parking space, 12 feet. You also will have to have an access aisle, which is that section with the dashes going.
Yeah, that
at an angle.
stripe section next to those parking spaces.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So if you draw another little parking spot, like right here and one there, so you're going to have a 12-foot wide spot. Mm-hmm. This access aisle is 5 feet or 60 inches is what they call for in the code. And then you have another 12 feet. So you basically, on the exam, what they've been asking fairly recently is what is the total width of two ADA spaces in an access aisle. So it's going to be 29 feet. You have your 12 feet plus your 5 feet plus your 12 feet.
Yeah, because you got to remember that you can share an access aisle can be shared between two parking spaces.
That's right.
So if this is our access aisle right here, right, and we have two parking spaces, 1 and 2, okay. So this is getting a little crowded here. Sorry about that. But this is 12 feet. The access aisle is 5 feet, right? And then the next spot is 12 feet.
Yep.
So add that all up, you get 20.
You get 29.
Yeah.
So there you go. Free test question.
And they probably trick you on that one because they're probably going to have one multiple choice that includes 2 access aisles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would that be 34? So if you see 34, you're wrong. You got to go to the 29. Yeah. One access aisle. Good. All right. Perfect. So, and And then
so we found our parking areas,
Yeah.
right? And now let's go back to that, like to the other things that you might see here. So we have this sodded area, right? So this little like boop 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 grassy things, that's grass. Okay. All right.
and it says sodded area 2, so you would presume there's a sodded area 1, and then
Yeah.
some other
And maybe 3.
right,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful too, because they could ask you specifically for area 2, not every sodded area. So you got to
Exactly.
you got to really read through. And then I think at the top of the plan, you
Mm-hmm.
even have a seeded area, which is not
Mm.
even grass. It's just seeds to throw down. The grass will grow up.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're in my yard, which grass never grows. So that would be not my yard.
There's like, yeah. So on the site plan, you're gonna see the landscaping, right?
Yeah.
That's another big part of the site plan, right? So the location of the building, parking, landscaping, hardscape. Okay, so here we have brick pavers, like in the middle here. Okay, and then like a little plaza thing. Here, same here. Okay, and oftentimes you're maybe even going to see like trees.
Right.
This building doesn't have. There's no trees.
There's no trees.
It's
This is a Dan
just
V
grass.
original here. No landscaping.
I didn't
All
do-
parking. A little bit of token green space.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So those are the main things that you're going to see. I mean, and this is correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I mean during the exams, like this is a place where you're going to be asked a lot of. You could be asked a lot of takeoff questions.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you need to pay attention to your dimensions, and they're just kind of all over the place, right? So pay attention to your dimensions and your notes, right? All these things that I've circled here: brick pavers, seated area, sodded area, brick pavers, right? Those are all your notes. Look for your notes. And the other thing too that I tell everybody: remember to look for your general notes
There you go.
on your plans as well.
Right.
Right. Because what if they're asking what's the walk construction? I think they're talking about sidewalks in this
Right.
case.
Right.
You don't have to look for the detail. It's right here in the notes, right?
Yep.
4-inch thick with 6x6, 10x10 welded wire mesh. Okay? So when you're looking through the plans, remember, check out the general notes. Just give them a quick run through. But there's good information in there.
Oh, for sure. And you also have, you have your planters, and so they could ask you potentially about how much volume of concrete you need for a planter. Well, you won't really know until you go to the site plan first to see where the planters are. You have 2 of them.
Yeah,
happen to have
you
2
got
in
to count
this
the
case.
planters, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So
sure.
the site plan is a really, really important piece, I think, especially for the test. But even in real life, I think the site plans really gives you an overview, just a general overview of what you're going to be building.
Yeah.
And then what components are going to be kind of outside of the structure itself. So
Yep. That's exactly it.
well, also, and you did mention there's a lot of the site plan. There's also quite a bit of math that could come from that. We have videos related to that where I go through all the kind of the general calculations that you can see on a potential site plan. We'll link to that on this video on the bottom below. You'll be able to access a link to those additional videos for the plan reading math part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to do some deep dives on, we'll probably touch back on the site plan just so you all know, so that we'll talk a little bit about what's going on like with this little area here, right? Like, hey, if you want to know how to calculate the area of sodded area number 2, check out that video.
Yeah, exactly. We cover that. We cover
Yeah.
the little triangular piece, what the radiuses are, how
Yeah.
do we use those in the calculations. So that's a great video.
Little forward promo.
A little forward
You like that?
promo. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Well, Dan, that was awesome, and thank you very much. So we'll be doing another deep dive session, and so we hope you join us for that. But that was great, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
always a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you, guys.